Hi there and welcome to Thursdays with Annette. So glad you're joining me today because I'm in my busy, fabulous place, my kitchen, and I've got an awesome recipe for you today. I mean, who doesn't love sticky date pudding? I know, get excited because this is the guilt-free version. That's right, guilt-free. So before we get started, I want to congratulate our 3 lucky winners from last week who all won book 2, and that was Dawn Humphreys, Megan Patterson and the fabulous Catherine Starr. They all won a personally signed copy of book 2. Now you need, I am being incredibly generous, so wait and see what's going to happen. But let's talk about this recipe. Sticky date pudding, I mean, how fabulous. Now it is in book 2, so let's show you this one. That's the original recipe in book 2 and it makes enough for 10. So when I was writing the Cooking for 102, I thought, wouldn't it be great if we could take that down from 10 serves? Because, you know, you can freeze them, of course, and if you've got a dinner party, you're going to be happy with that, or you've got a big family. But for me and Billy, our little empty nesters as we are, we only wanted 2. So hello, in Cooking for 102, there is your sticky date pudding, and yes, that's right, it serves 2. That's right, you make 2 fabulous little sticky date puddings. So there you go. All right, so what we need for this recipe is the oven's preheated at 180 degrees. So it's ready, and the ingredients, I've got it all out for you. So you want an egg white, a tablespoon of brown sugar this is for the pudding, okay? This is for the sauce, this is for the pudding. And if you've ever thought, oh gee, I don't know how to make a sticky date pudding, this has got to be the easiest one on the planet. And you know, I've got to tell you a quick story before I continue. I used to be a regular on a cooking show called Fresh, and that was with Jason. I used to be on every 2 weeks it was a national show. And I remember one time he made a sticky date pudding and I commented to him and I said, that's a heart attack in a bowl. So I worked it out and it was 65 grams of fat. So I went on the show the next week and made mine, which was a couple of grams of fat. So they were very excited about that. And they used to say, Simply Slim with Annette Sym. I wonder if you remember that show. It was so much fun and Jason was hot. Anyway, back to the ingredients. So we've got an egg white, we've got a tablespoon of brown sugar, 2 teaspoons of melted, and I've already melted the Floralite margarine, 2 tablespoons of skim milk. I'm going to do 1/4 cup of chopped dates. I'm going to do that in a minute. 1/8 teaspoon of bicarb. And this is when, if you don't have my measure spoons, this is when you really need to have them because that 1/8 teaspoon, it's really accurate. So I don't know if many spoons do the 1/8, whereas mine do. You can get them on the website. 1/4 cup of flour. Now everything's a bit small because we're only making, that's right, well, how many are we making? 2, that's right. And here is I've separated so I don't get confused, and this is your sticky sauce. So you want 2 tablespoons of brown sugar, 2 teaspoons of Floralite, you don't have to melt it, and a teaspoon of corn flour and 1/4 cup of evaporated milk. Now I will talk about this because it is slightly different than the one in the original recipe because sometimes I've had to do that. But let's get chopping because I've got my dates here. And it's the dried pitted dates. Now, I don't want you to chop them up too small. I tend to just slice them into about 4 pieces. If they're really big, maybe 5. Because you want to know that there's dates in there. You know, if you make them too small, you lose them in the mixture. So just cut them into chunks, you know, not big, but just nice slices. Now remember, we're doing the sticky date pudding. It's in the book 2 and the Cooking for 102. But remember, today we're making it out of the Cooking for 102. Now you can easily make this for 4 by just doubling everything, or go to the book 2 and you'll be fine. So there we go, there's 1/4 cup. So my dates are ready. That's all the work we needed to do. So let's get rid of the chopping board. I've got my soapy sink here. All right, so if you know my recipes, you'll know that I always start with the egg white and sugar first. So we're going to put the egg white in. You're kind of making a bit of like a muffin, which is what you used to do with the muffin tin. So we have an egg white. And if you look here, This is what I would normally be using if I was doing the cooking for 1 or 2 and I'd make the 10. No, not cooking 1 or 2, sorry, book 2. I'm getting confused here. I'm just a bit fizzy and excited about this recipe. Calm down, Annette. I'm just excited about afternoon tea. Anyway, you just do it in this recipe. As I said, it's out of book 2, but today we're doing it out of the Cooking for 1 or 2. And if you haven't got this book, what are you doing? It's the best book ever. And I do have 21 new recipes in there. But as you see, I've adapted as I've gone. So, egg white, brown sugar, and just beat that up. Oh, wait a minute. My brown sugar's gone a bit hard. There we go. So you're just going to beat that up for about 30 seconds. Mix it all in. And you'll notice that because there's not as much ingredients, everything is kind of quicker and easier to make. And it's also more cost effective because you're not using a lot of ingredients. All right. So there is my egg white and brown sugar. Now what you do is you get the milk, you've melted the margarine in the microwave, pour that in, as well as put the bicarb in, 1/8 of a teaspoon, mix it in there. Just give that a little mix. And in we go. Right, let me move these out of the way. Give that a beat up. So this is sticky date pudding. And it's just so simple to make. I mean, you know, you're just going to love it. So we've just beaten the egg whites and the sugar. We've put the milk, the bicarb and the margarine. Now we just put in the dates. Give that a little bit of a mix up. And the flour. Now I did sift the flour beforehand just to save time. And then you just gently mix that together. Always remember with my baking, especially the muffins and those type of things, that you don't get there and you know, give it a big beat up because it will make it tough. Oh, that looks great. So you just fold that through until it's combined. There's my mixture done. Oh, see how quick it is because we're just making 2. And here's my little ramekins. So I think most people have this type of ramekins in your pantry or your cupboard. And then what you do is you just give it a spray. Make sure you get all the edges. Perfect. And now I'm going to scrape it in and I'm going to divide the mix into 2 because remember we're just making the 2. Let me move this out of the way. There's our little muffins, so to speak. Now I try to make sure that I'm very even on the dates because there's nothing worse than you getting all the dates and someone's missing out. So just remember to think about it when you're pouring them in and make sure that everyone's getting an equal amount of the dates. And you just divide that into 2. Isn't this just so easy and so cute? And really, if there's only just the 2 of you or you're living on your own, you don't need 10, do you? Okay, let's get that in the soapy sink. Okay, so now these will go in the oven. Remember I had it at 180 degrees and it will take about 12 to 15 minutes. So just set your timer. Depends on how hot your oven is. Yum. So let's get rid of that. So now the puddings are in, but I want to just get straight in now to making the sauce. So I'm just going to move my little machine over. So we just got all the ingredients here, remember? The corn flour, the sugar, the butter and the milk. All right, so sticky date pudding, now we're making the sticky part. Now what I do first with this particular recipe is I put the corn flour in first because it's very quick to heat up. because there's not much mixture. Now, this is not in the traditional recipe that I made. You don't put corn flour in it, but I found as I was going with this that sometimes I had to do a couple little things different with the recipe. And that's because you've gone, imagine you're making 10, now you're making 2. It takes a genius to work that out, to drop it down to 2. And so it really can be a bit of a challenge to adapt like that. So that's what I did anyway, and I found it's worked really well. So you'll notice that in this recipe, I'm using a whisk. We just put the margarine in and we just want to melt that. That there is a little difference sometimes in a recipe, and with this particular one, not only is the corn flour in it, which isn't normal, it's not normally in it, but you'll also notice the fat count's a little bit higher. So I'm just going to put the brown sugar in now. Just mix that in. And you want it to sort of so that it dissolves. And get that right. Fantastic. And now just gently, not gently, but just gradually is the better word, pour in, mixing as you go, your sauce. Now, the traditional one is only 3.4 grams of fat for a serve, whereas this recipe, it's actually 5.4. But, you know, when you think, as I said before, 65 grams, it's a huge difference compared to traditional. Now, that's done. See how quick everything is? Like, I'm like, oh my gosh, I've got to move quickly here because everything takes such little time to do because it's so small. All right, so our sauce is made. Let me just clean this mess up. Move this over. I mean, how quick was it to do that? So now what we're going to do is put it together. So I have been in the kitchen before we started and I made them already so we could just keep going because obviously time is of the essence. Let me move that over there. And now we've got to just put the sauce on. Now, before I actually do this, I just want to give you another little tip because this is what this show's about. I've already told you that we've changed it a little bit by putting the corn flour in with the sticky sauce. But here's another thing. A few people have been asking me about what do you do with the egg yolks? You know, they worry about that and they don't like waste. Well, this is a great product. You get it in where the eggs are in the supermarket, and it's just a carton of egg whites. And you can use these, and that way you're not wasting. Now, what you need to know though is that 1 egg white in a recipe of mine, which is what we used today, we used 1 egg white, is 36 grams in weight. So if you wanted to do a cake recipe that has 3 egg whites in it, you'd multiply that 36 by 3 and that would be your egg whites. So that might just be a little help for you if you don't want to waste your yolks in that. All right, so sticky date pudding. Yes, oh yes. Here we go. Here's the sauce. So now I'm just going to pour it over. Once again, equal amounts. I mean, who knew weight loss could be so deliciously healthy with a sticky date pudding? I know. It tastes amazing. Honestly, you have to try it. It's one of those recipes that we all love, and it is just delicious. All right, so there's your sticky. Oh, yum. Who would think? And it's a fantastic, fantastic healthy version. And of course, you wouldn't have this every night. It's all about, you know, everything in moderation is the key to good health and well-being. But this is a way better option for you than the traditional. Now, prize this week. Are you ready? Do we get a drum roll, please? You're going to get the chance to win Cooking for One or Two, new book. If you haven't got it, get excited, but there's more. Hello, I'm also going to give you this one. I know I couldn't help myself. I'm feeling so generous because I want you to have the sticky date out of this book and the sticky date out of this book so you can make it however you like. So, 3 lucky winners. What do? Well, you like, you share, and in the comments you write hashtag Symply number 2 good. Simply too good. And I will pick 3 fabulous supporters of this show to get a personally signed copy of book 2 and Cooking for One or Two. I know, get excited. Now, next week, I'm going to be back in the kitchen. I just love wearing my apron, that's why I do it. And I'm going to be making you a fantastic favourite. I'm into favourites at the moment, and it's the quick and easy potato bake. Now, that's out of book 6. And over the years, I've loved a good potato bake, but I wanted to make it an easier version than the traditional one, which is actually in book 2 as well. So you need to be here next week because it's our last show for the season. I know, where's the time gone? I mean, it's crazy. So we're going to be here next week. Now, if you want more tips or recipes, you know where to go, www.simplytoogood.com.au. And I'm going to be here making that potato bake for you. But right now, I can see there's 3 of us, and who's going to get one of these? Oh, that's right, we've got the other 2 in the oven. Oh, thank goodness, because Diane's looking at me like, no, one of them's mine. Okay, guys, well, there's your sticky date pudding, guilt-free and fabulous. How hard was that to make? So enjoy your week, and I'll catch you next time.